Well, I'm sitting in my chair late at night, watching crime unfold under the pale moonlight. From the darkest corner, stories unfold. True crime jewels, she's brash and she is bold. On the YouTube screen, we're digging deep into the mysteries that never sleep. From missing kids in Tennessee to angry husbands named Barry. True crime's calling, and we're taking the time. So grab a seat, don't miss a beat. This True Crime Jewels got what you need. From missing people to twisted minds, we're unraveling secrets old Barry tried to hide. Every clue, every twist and turn. In the world of crime, there's always more to learn. On the YouTube screen, we're digging deep into the mysteries that never sleep. From Christopher's anger to Stephen Fisher's lies. The truth is calling, and justice won't be denied. So grab a seat, don't miss a beat. True crime jewels on the YouTube streets. Lights are low, suspense is high. We're chasing truth, we spot every lie. Step into the darkness, hold on tight. Two flashlights out there in the dead of night. On the YouTube screen, we're digging deep. Barry Morphew's case is hot. A boy in Tennessee won't be left behind. From the coldest cases to the ones that shine. True crime's calling, and we're taking the time. So grab a seat, don't miss a beat. This True Crime Jewels got what you need. We're always watching Barry and waiting for the truth. In the world of crime, we discuss the proof. So hit that play and join the True Crime journey with Jewels of Thought and her gemstone family.
Well, good morning, everybody. Yes, it is 4 a.m. because I have insomnia. So, I had a very long day yesterday. It's going to be another long day today, but that'll be all right because I got plenty of sleep. It was just weird because I fell asleep so damn early. So now I've had a good night's sleep and it's 4 a.m. Okay. So, but I see that I'm not the only one with the problem. Welcome, Sketty Nona, Justice Jane, Thing One, Jackie Blue, all my friends. Thank y'all for being here. And I've got to say it. Why the hell aren't you ladies in bed? Why aren't y'all sleeping? Okay. Now then. Yes, I did watch day 3 of Lori Vallow, which is why I fell asleep early. Because I finished work and decided I would watch that and fell asleep. But not before, same Justice Jane and Jackie Blue and Sketty Nona. So I did watch Nancy Jo Hancock, she was sort of the star of the day, wasn't she? Like, that was the big takeaway when you go back through all of the, like, if you go back and Google Lori Vallow trial, day 3, it's just, Nancy Jo. So I think that Lori wasn't honest. Shock. Lori wasn't honest about the state of affairs of the marriage. I think that's number one, right? I think there was and here's what I can't figure out. Is it Lori that lied about the state of the marriage? Or was it Melanie Gibb who lied because Lori was misleading her? Or because it was a plan? It's hard to know. But I have to say this. I am really glad that Charles Vallow was have that he wasn't living in complete abject misery with this crazy woman, and that he recognized he had done everything that he could to try to save his marriage. And you can't put toothpaste back in the tube, right? It is physically impossible. And if Lori had gone off the deep end and had fully embraced this whole religiosity nonsense, what else was he supposed to do? I'm not going to jump in and demonize Charles Vallow if he was dating someone. I'm not going to do that. I don't think it's right. We don't know how long he was juggling Lori's delusions and anger. We don't know how long she had been in that state. We do know that when she met Chad Daybell, she was very quick, very happy to jump in the sack with a goober gourd. He's a goonhead. So tells me that she wasn't in her marriage. She wasn't committed to her marriage, or she never would have reacted so quickly to Chad Daybell, right? All right. So, I'm going to do my summary of day 3 of the Lori Vallow trial. This is the Arizona trial. And then we're going to listen to a little bit of Nancy Jo Hancock. I loved it because I think that was the closest you're ever going to get to putting Lori in her place. That was tough for Lori to be confronted with what she is perceiving to be the affair partner of her husband, right? I love how now she's saying, well, my husband. Why isn't she calling him Charles Vallow? Isn't she married to a different man? Didn't she murder her husband so that she could get the insurance money? Why is he now my husband? He's not your husband. Your husband is sitting in a penitentiary for the next 10 years as he runs down his appeals and is finally put to death. So I don't know who this person is that you're telling the jury, my husband, because that is not who your husband is, lady. You're the one who made that happen. All right. So they started day 3 with, they still had Chandler's police detective Daniel Coons that I thought was this was the first interesting witness in my opinion. Daniel Coons is the guy that investigated the shooting scene. Lori did make, I'm so sorry for yawning. Lori made an appeal to a motion to strike Coons' testimony. Her argument was that she had a constitutional right to confront witnesses and that was violated when he was allowed to testify as an expert. What? He's a detective for 30 years. Of course he's an expert. The judge simply noted her objection and proceeded. And can we just start calling this judge Job? Can he be Judge Job? I feel sorry for him sitting up there and having to just tolerate this nonsense. So I do feel quite sorry for him. During the cross, Lori questioned Daniel Coons about specifics of the shooting crime scene. She spent an awful lot of time asking about like the location of the casings and the gun. What does any of that have to do with conspiracy to commit murder, Lori? She's trying to reinforce her claim that the shooting was self-defense. How can it be self-defense if she didn't pull the trigger? Alex is not on trial. So where's the self-defense part? And wouldn't you think a man the size of Charles Vallow, the anger that he was likely harboring after all of the games that this woman had played with him, where were the injuries? Don't tell me that little half an inch cut on the back of Alex's head that did not even bleed, by the way. Don't tell me that that was the damage. There was literally nothing out of place. There was nothing. Charles had no bruises on him. He simply had 2 pristine gunshot wounds. So I don't know how she's going to get away with self-defense. Again, she had so many, excuse me, she was confronted with so many objections, and she can't phrase her questions properly according to the rule of law. And it was a terrible situation. I have another interjection here as well. Apparently, Colby Ryan has decided that he is going to go do a blog later today. He's going to go do his blog from the courthouse. So he's going to courthouse. Now, if Lori sees him, she will become discombobulated. And maybe that's the plan. But I do have faith in Colby and his therapist, and I support him whatever he wants to do. I support him. He needs to do what he needs to do. This horrible creature wiped out his entire family. His dad, his sister, his brother, gone. So Nancy Jo Hancock, let's get to Nancy Jo. So she turned out, everybody was like, okay, who's this? Who is Nancy Jo? And I love your name, Nancy Jo. You're awesome. She went on a date with Vallow the night before his death, which is shocking. Nancy Jo was described as being the last person to have seen Charles alive other than Alex and Lori. Of course, night before the death, July 2019, they had a week where there was nonstop texting, and basically Charles was just, I think, my opinion, Charles was just looking for some kind of companionship, someone to bounce his thoughts off of. I think he was in utter and complete turmoil, and he was just spilling his guts. He was just looking for someone to listen to the insanity that he was living with. I think that's what it was. I think he was in such disarray that he was just reaching out to try to find someone that he could just spill all this to, right? You can't really spill all of this to people that know you and your wife unless you've fully committed to, I'm getting a divorce. So, getting online, finding a friend, I don't mean a sex partner, but finding a friend, someone to chat with about how your life has been turned upside down. Do I need to remind you about him coming home from a business trip? His flight, his ticket was canceled for his flight. When he arrived at the airport, his truck was gone. When he got to his house, he couldn't open the door because the locks were changed. When the police finally arrived and he found out what he could and couldn't do, and he broke into his own home, nothing was there. Except Melanie Gibb. Melanie Gibb was there. Jason Mal was lurking around the corner. Some strange stuff going on around that time. So the fact that Charles Vallow was looking for someone, a new friend online, and he just spills everything to this stranger. As a psychologist, that doesn't surprise me not one bit. How many times do people run into trouble in their life and find themselves sitting in a bar and spilling their guts to the bartender or to some drunk that's sitting there at the bar? How many times? It happens all the time. What about, remember that show that used to be on HBO where it was cab drivers that would pick people up in the middle of the night drunk and whatnot? You know what I'm talking about? How many times did we see people get in the back of a cab and just start crying and then tell their whole life story to these cab drivers? This is what people do when they're in distress. This is what people do when they're in shock and awe because their life has crumbled in a way that you couldn't even write it for a Hollywood movie. So I'm not surprised at all that he found someone online that he could talk to, and they chatted for a week, and this woman met him for dinner, and they had a wonderful time. They talked for hours at the restaurant, closed it down, so it was probably like midnight, and then spent another 45 minutes or so outside talking still. And then she never heard back from him, and she thought, whoa, how could I have been so wrong? I thought we had this great connection. What happened? And she just accepted. He didn't like me. Done. Can you imagine? You're sitting there on your sofa, your recliner, and you're watching TV one night, and they show JJ and Tylee missing children, and there's Charles Vallow's face, the man that you had a connection with. Can you imagine? So, how many people would have just stayed out of it? How many people would have just said, well, at least I know he did not contact me because he didn't like me. This is horrible. I feel so sad for him. How many? But thankfully, she reached out to the prosecutor. Or I think to the police, not the prosecutor. So thankfully she did that. So I think it was wonderful because now we get even better insight into who Charles Vallow really was. Because Lori has demonized Charles Vallow. Lori has said that he was an abusive man. Lori has said that he was abusive and he was cruel and he was cold. Oh, really, Lori? Are you sure? Because the things I know about abusive men, they don't tend to pay the telephone, cell bills of your entire family, the mother-in-law, the father-in-law, the sister-in-law. Yeah, Lori, you little liar. Abusive men don't do that. Good, decent men who are trying to keep things good for their marriage, they're the ones that do things like that. So try to keep that straight, Lori. So that, I think, is at the heart of why this woman tripped Lori up so badly, right? I think she was tripped up so badly by Nancy Jo Hancock because Nancy gives us insight into Charles was hurting. Charles was hurting. And he was a delightful, good, decent man. And those are the things that do matter. All right. We then got in insight into Christina Atwood. This was one of the women that stood around in circles and prayed for things to happen. Now, she said that she left the circle of Jezebels after only one, I think she said 2 meetings, right? Did she say 2 meetings? They had one prayer group, and then maybe she went to a luncheon. Is that right? She testified that Lori said that Charles was possessed by a dark spirit. You know what I think? I think Charles entirely knew that it was Lori possessed by a dark spirit. The prosecutors are saying that this was the whole motive for the killing. Charles is possessed by a dark spirit. Lori had to be married to Daybell because she was going to be queen of the 144,000, remember? I don't believe, not for a minute, that Lori believes in this magical metaphysical manifestation of the Bible. I don't believe that. She didn't believe that she was going to be lifted up on wings of eagles with her golden tiara and be the queen of the firstborn. I don't believe that. She simply watched Chad. She watched him. She looked at the people in the room. She said, holy hell, all these people look at him like he's a prophet. I need to get in on that action. Kind of like Julie Rowe, right? These people were snake oil salesmen, people. These people were like, gypsies, tramps, and thieves. We hear it from the people of the town they call us. These people were not godly, loving people. They're snake oil salesmen of the time. So Christina Atwood, she said that Lori, she filled in missing pieces of this tale that Trina Kay is telling, that Lori was, being motivated by these fringe religious beliefs, and that Lori told her that Charles had $1 million life insurance policy, and that is what Lori was trying to get to. That in no way the shooting was premeditated. In no way the shooting was self-defense, but rather it was premeditated. And of course, prosecution is saying it was premeditated, and we are providing you forensic evidence as well as eyewitness accounts that show and prove that. And so Christina Atwood is part of the witness accounts that support a premeditated murder. So before we watch the Nancy Jo Hancock testimony, in summary, Lori's remains combative. She is still trying to say it was self-defense. It's not working. The key witness testimonies are reinforcing the prosecution's narrative. And basically, Lori's just she's just not able to do what she convinced herself that she could do. She's doing terrible. And again, I still see some defense attorneys online. Oh, Lori's doing a good job. She's the best pro se I've ever seen. She's doing a good job. No, she's not. Just because she's not like stumbling along. Well, I mean, I kind of think she is stumbling along, but at least she can like read and form a sentence. You guys think she's doing okay. She's doing horrible. All she's doing is reading a list of the same questions the prosecution has already asked. So I wish you guys would quit. What word do I want to use? Humoring Lori. That's what she's counting on. You're reacting to her and you're saying she's not doing a bad job as a pro se witness. You're reacting to the fact that this woman is a manipulative extrovert. In no way is she mounting a defense. Trust me. When have you heard her make the slightest, I mean the slightest connection for self-defense? These men are just saying, oh, she's doing great. She's just doing great. She is a manipulative extrovert. That's what you're reacting to. That she's got confidence and she can speak in a room full of people. But that is not a defense. Don't find me guilty because I can actually form a sentence. That is absolutely not true. She is not doing well. If you agree that Lori is not doing well mounting self-defense, put a 1. I sensed exasperation from the 2 previous witnesses. Thank you. The law enforcement people, Barb, were just over it. I agree with you. Hey, Glory Dancer. I agree about Charles. Glad he was a little happy at the end. Me too, Glory. At the very least, I'm glad that he found some companionship, that there was someone that he could at least talk about what the nightmare his life had become. So, yeah. Sammy Sparrow, welcome. Good to see you. Hey, Ashley Kane. I work with hospice patients. Got to exercise for going in. I think so far my biggest thing that I wish the DA would have had Charles' divorce attorney recording of if something happens to me. That would have been great, right, Ashley? Yeah, if Charles' divorce attorney had him do a recording of, if something happens to me, my wife did it. Yeah, agree, Ashley. That would have been very powerful. Yep. All right, so, man, you guys are troopers for being here this early in the morning. Thank y'all so much. I hope you'll hit the thumbs up. I know that YouTube thing is boring. And if you haven't subscribed, I hope you will. It helps my channel. All right, so we're going to listen to Nancy Jo Hancock, who is presented as the last person to have spoken or seen Charles Vallow other than the 2 murderers. And here we go. And I hope you have a wonderful day, Ashley. I hope it's a great day. Yeah, don't flatter yourself, Lori. Oh, one more thing. Nancy Jo Hancock. One more thing. What about when she said that she met Adam on a dating website? I don't think Adam's divorced, is he? Maybe he is. But I didn't think he was. All right, I gotta get up. Let's listen to this.
All right, come on up. You're gonna stand right here and be sworn in.
And you know that just got Lori's goat, that Nancy Jo was so beautiful, right? Man, you know that irritated her to death.
Jo Hancock.
And do you go by Nancy Jo?
I do.
How old are you?
61.
And do
And
you
she
currently
looks
work?
40.
I'm self-employed.
So there you go,
Do you live
Lori.
here in Arizona?
In
You are
Mesa,
not
yes.
the cutest little thing in shoe
born and
leather.
raised here?
Born and raised here.
Do you have your own children?
5.
Do you have grandchildren?
15.
Busy person.
Yes.
I'm going to direct you to a person by the name of Charles Vallow. Did you ever meet a person by that name?
I did.
How did you meet him?
I'm divorced. I was on an LDS dating site, and when new members join, it tells you this is someone new. And he sent me a message, and we began messaging.
Initially, did you just talk to him do you talk through the website? How does that work?
Through the website at first, and then he asked for my phone number, and then we were texting and talking on the phone as well.
Do you recall approximately when you met him?
It was early July, I believe the 3rd.
And so you said you guys would text. Was this,
A lot.
what's a lot to you?
Charles was a texter and a talker, and he was good at banter, and there were hundreds of texts by the time I had met him.
You said you
By
talked
the
on the
time
phone
that
with him as
woman
well?
murdered him,
For
that's what
hours.
she should have said.
Did you have a conversation with him once that lasted almost 3 hours?
Probably more than one, yes.
When you met Charles in early July, did you know he was still married?
He told me he was in the process of a divorce.
Okay. Did you know whether or not he was living with his wife at that time?
He was in Houston. His soon-to-be ex-wife was here. When he came to Arizona, he was meeting a realtor to find a place to live when he was here as well.
So when you're first meeting him, he's out of state, but he has a connection here to Arizona, so you keep talking to him?
Correct.
As you guys are talking and texting, did you eventually have enough interest that you decided you wanted to meet him?
Yeah.
Did you know what Charles did for a living?
Life insurance is something with money. I try not to have that be the focus when I'm getting to know somebody, so that I get to know them for them and not what they do for a living.
So you didn't really care too much about
No.
what his job was?
No.
Did you know he traveled a lot for work?
Yes.
As you and Charles are talking and texting, just sort of yes or no, can you tell us, did he get very detailed about his life with you?
Yes.
Did you know if Charles had children?
Yes.
Just yes or no again, did you talk to him about his wife specifically?
A lot.
Did he mention his wife by name?
Yes.
What did you believe his wife's name was?
Lori Vallow?
Have you ever met Lori Vallow?
No.
Again, just sort of yes or no. Did Charles talk to you about
Your Honor.
why?
Objection, leading.
I heard the question.
Objection.
I haven't heard the question yet. Go ahead.
So just yes or no. Did Charles talk to you about why he
Leading
was
is yes or no.
No,
Okay, remember when I said next week Lori's head pops off her shoulders? Remember that? Okay, maybe I'm wrong. It might end up being this week, actually, the end of this week. She just about lost it today. Yes, we interrupt the prosecution to say objection. But when's the last time that you saw a person interrupt a judge or a prosecutor to blurt? Oh, Daryl Brooks, right? That was the last one. Lori's going to be like Daryl Brooks by next week. She's going to be a babbling fool.
Just yes or no again, did you talk to him about his wife specifically?
A lot.
Did he mention his wife by name?
Yes.
What did you believe his wife's name was?
Lori Vallow?
Have you ever met Lori Vallow?
No.
Again, just sort of yes or no. Did Charles talk to you about
Your Honor.
why? Meeting?
So this is okay. I mean, she's late. She should have objected before the prosecution got so deep into her next question. But then this happens.
Objection.
I haven't heard the question yet. Go ahead.
So just yes or no. Did Charles talk to you about why he
Leading
was
is yes or no.
No.
Daryl Brooks-esque.
Leading is a question that suggests the answer, so she can answer yes or no.
So again, just yes or no. Did Charles talk to you about why
And
he was
notice
separated from his
Nancy's
wife?
little grin. Watch.
Just yes or no.
Look at her
Yes or
little
no.
grin.
So again, just yes or no. Did Charles
Sorry, Lori. You are no attorney, girl.
talk to you about why he was separated from his wife?
Yes.
Based upon your discussions, how long did you think there had been issues going on between Charles and his wife?
For several months, but more intensely since the beginning of that year was 2019, so since the beginning of that year.
You told us that Charles talked to you let me ask you, yes or no, did he talk to you in great detail about his relationship with Lori Vallow?
Yes.
You told us you met.
You know what that means, Lori? That means that this woman right here knows every sordid detail of you and your life. And you, Lori, you can't stand it. So I think that what we see with Nancy Jo Hancock, that's going to give you a teeny little snippet into what's going to happen with Kay or Adam or anyone that she knew in her real life, right? Those people, she's not going to be able to hold it together. I stand by that. I was actually really surprised that she had another little crack in her facade today. But did you hear the urgency in her voice when she said yes or no? Remember that? She is, in the words of Lori Vallow, she is a ticking time bomb. She is holding it together, white knuckling it. So Kay is her arch nemesis, correct? Kay is her arch nemesis because Kay is the person that legit loved JJ. Kay is one of the people that's still alive that Lori legitimately betrayed. So Kay is another one who knows the reality of Lori behind the mask. So the day that Kay gets up on the stand, Lori is going to be terrified. She's going to be terrified of what could come out. And with narcissists, a true narcissist, they are never more dangerous than when their mask is about to be ripped off their face. So I don't think that she has the I don't think that she has either the personal integrity to hold it together. I don't think that she has been taught proper breathing techniques and relaxation tools that will help her get through a deep moment of a moment of deep crisis. I don't think she has any of that to manage what her reaction is going to be to knowing that she's about to be revealed. Remember, narcissists will kill people to avoid being exposed. Lori's worked a long time to cultivate this pretty little girl sex pot image. She's worked a long time to develop that mask to present to the world that people are willing to accept. And dare I say it, some of the men, defense attorney commentators on YouTube have bought into Lori's nonsense. Oh, she's doing a good job. That is not bad at all. Good job, Lori. Stop. She's not done anything except complete a sentence, in my opinion.
On an LDS dating site, right?
Correct.
So are you a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints?
I am.
I'm going to turn this up a little bit, y'all.
Was there anything that you were hearing that you thought were outside of your beliefs?
A lot of things.
As Charles was telling you these things about his wife, can you tell us his demeanor? What his voice was like, what his attitude was like as he's talking about that?
I just remember thinking that he was strangely calm and still kind towards Lori, even through what they were going through.
Good morning, Martian Planet Art. Good to see you.
You told us you were aware he had a child. Did you know where that child lived, who the child lived with?
Yes,
Who was that?
he was living with Lori at that time.
You have.
He had
this-
older children as well, but the young one was living with Lori.
You have these conversations with Charles about his wife and these things that to you seem outside the LDS religion. Why do you keep talking to him?
Well, he was very charming and kind and funny and very clever, really good banter. A lot of craziness going on around him, but he seemed pretty awesome.
Now, you guys had just known each other for a few days. Did you think you and Charles were exclusive?
Heavens, no.
So would you be surprised to learn that he was talking to other people on other websites?
Not at all.
Did he in fact share some of that with you?
He did. He shared some pictures of some woman that had sent him that were quite scanty, and then proceeded to ask him for money, and thought how funny that was, that's what people were doing online.
Did you eventually meet Charles in person?
I did,
And how many times did you get to meet him in person?
just once.
You hear
What
that,
day was
Lori?
that?
You're not Charles
He was
is number
flying in
one
from
anymore.
Houston,
You ruined
and
that.
we had arranged to go to dinner that night. His plane was delayed, and so I met him that night on the 10th of July.
Oh, yes,
July
Ashley
10th,
Kane,
was that
him
2019?
too.
Correct.
Yes.
And was that then here in Arizona that you met?
It was.
You said that you had original plans to meet and they got pushed back?
Yeah, his plane was delayed, so we met a little later than we were supposed to.
Where did you guys meet? What did you do?
At the Keg Restaurant by Santan Mall, and we ate, but we talked until the restaurant closed. We were the last people there.
So you-
A little FYI seclusion. Chocolate actually has antidepressant qualities that equal that of Zoloft. Yes. So eat chocolate, eat away.
Shut the place down.
We did. I finally looked around and I realized that we were the only ones there and told them we probably should leave. And then we went outside and talked by my truck for another 45 minutes or so.
Based upon everything you had heard, was Charles coming in to see you, or was there some other reason he was in Arizona?
Charles was ecstatic to see JJ. He was coming to see JJ, so excited to take him to school the next morning. He was also coming to look for a place to live. He had an appointment to meet a realtor friend after he had taken JJ to school. And then he was also supposed to meet with Lori's brother, Adam.
So you and Charles have this evening on the 10th. Were you going to meet again?
Yeah, we were supposed to meet up in the late afternoon after he got through with the things that I just said.
So did you have a set time for the next
No.
day?
Mm-mm.
Can you describe Charles? Was he a fit man? What was his size?
Very fit and into physical fitness. And while we were talking, I know that he was swimming. I got to go to the gym and yeah, very, very fit, strong.
When you were talking with Charles on July 10th, that evening, let me ask first, do you recall about what time you ended up meeting him?
It was around 7. I got there first, and but it was right around 7, between 7 and 7:15, I'd say.
And do you recall about how long you guys were together until you finally
Well, the
left?
restaurant closed at 10, and they were closed, and no one else was there. So it was after that we left, and then, like I said, we stood by my truck and talked for another half hour, 45 minutes after that.
So a later evening.
Yes.
Can you tell us, you said that you understood he was going to go see his son. What was his demeanor about with regards to JJ and seeing his son?
Like a kid on Christmas morning, he was very excited to see JJ.
You had talked about his demeanor when he would talk about his wife. On that evening or ever, did you ever hear him swear or use derogatory names or anything like that towards Lori Vallow?
I was surprised with the details that he was describing to me, how kindly he still spoke about Lori, and his hope was that she would be a great mom for JJ.
Remember what I said. This witness, now we like it. We like the salaciousness, the satisfaction. Yes, the salacious satisfaction that Charles Vallow was not sitting around pining away for his bride, that he had come to the realization that Lori was categorically not okay, and that he was willing to protect his own mental health, to get away from her so that he himself could feel in control of his life, right? So we like that. But there is actually, in my opinion, there's actually a more critical role for this witness. She's not serving simply to sort of jab Lori, even though we enjoy that. She's there because she's giving us a contrast to how Lori has described Charles. That Charles was an abusive, lying ass. And Nancy Jo is telling the world that is not true. He had been really put through quite a lot, and yet he was still speaking with dignity about his ex-wife or wife. And he was heartbroken of all that was going through. And he was in the process of trying to reestablish a life where he would be able to see Tylee and JJ, even though they were going to be divorced, right? So Colby said, I just watched Colby for maybe 15 minutes. He said that he was surprised, maybe. I can't remember exactly how I said it. I think, if I get this wrong, please forgive me. I believe he said he was a bit surprised that Charles would have been on an LDS dating website, that he wouldn't think that Charles, he wasn't aware that Charles had committed to the LDS faith like that. He had done that because they were married, but that, if you leave Lori, then you're probably not going to do LDS anymore. But here's what I think. There are many people that, as they work through divorce and their upcoming divorce and make plans for restarting their lives, one question that often comes up in therapy is a discussion of, am I going to change my name? Am I going to take back my maiden name? That's one. And the reason for that is this. I don't know if I want my name to be different from my children's names. So there are many women who, as they're planning their divorce, they're trying to decide if they want to take back their maiden name or keep the married name because that's the same name as their kids. Correct? So there's that, and that they question. And then the other is religion. And it's the same argument. Do I want to go back to my original religious affiliation, or knowing that my child is going to be raised by the other parent who is very, very religious, maybe I need to provide constancy to my child. Maybe I don't want them having to have two completely different lifestyles, and I want to make things easier, so I'll continue in the same religion for the benefit of my child. If that makes sense, put a 1, because I feel like I'm kind of stumbling to make my point. Sorry, it's way too early for me to be doing this. Good morning, Jessica. Yes, Gloria, I was just thinking that this woman has 5 kids and 15 grandchildren, and she's beautiful, Jessica. She looks like she might have adopted one. So, okay, so it does make sense. Okay, thank you, because I'm kind of half asleep.
Did that stand out to you?
A lot.
Thank y'all.
What?
Most men that you date are not nearly so kind about their ex and describe them in more derogatory ways and don't speak so kindly. And I remember just thinking how odd, in a good way, it was that he was not speaking in a derogatory way about Lori.
It was
that
a
made an
very
impression
good
on
thing
you.
that
It
he
did.
wasn't down talking smack about
During
his wife.
any of your conversations
Julie.
with Charles, did you ever learn that he had a life insurance policy?
I did.
As you are talking,
Hi, Deb
did
from
Charles
Arizona. Welcome.
really just
Love your
tell you
hat.
a lot about his life?
A lot about his life, yes.
Were you almost surprised at the amount of detail of his life that you learned?
Yeah.
Did you understand
Seclusion.
whether or not any changes had been made by Charles to the life insurance policy?
He told me that he had changed his beneficiary to his sister Kay, and as he was proceeding to tell me some of the things that were going on, I suggested to him that maybe he should let Lori know that he had changed the beneficiary on his life insurance to Kay.
Why would you tell him that?
Safety.
Because of the things that he was describing to me and his concerns for his safety and the thought that money would come into play.
Yep.
Do you recall where
Right,
you were when
Tammy
you
Sparrow.
made that suggestion to Charles?
We were sitting at dinner at the Kay.
So this is on July 10th.
Correct.
Charles trades up and Lori gets the Jadster.
What was his demeanor like when you told him that?
He kind of chuckled and said that he probably should.
It's a good idea.
Said that was a good idea.
You told us that you don't know Lori Vallow, correct?
I do not.
Would it be fair to say that you sort of have no beef in this case?
I have no beef in this case.
Do you know any of Charles's family back then?
No,
Any of Lori Vallow's family back then?
no.
When you, I guess, left Charles after talking in the parking lot that evening, you told us that you had sort of unformalized plans to see Charles the next day.
Correct.
Was there like someone would call someone, or how was that supposed to go?
He just said that he needed to do the things that I said, have a morning with JJ, find a place to live, meet up with Lori's brother Adam, and, then we would meet up somewhere for a late lunch or something.
Did you ever try to reach him on July 11th of
I did.
2018? Did you try texting him ever?
Around 11-ish in the morning, I texted him and asked how his morning with JJ had been.
Did you get a response back?
I did not.
Did you try calling him?
A couple hours later, I called once, yes.
Did you get a call back?
I did not.
What were you thinking when you didn't hear from Charles after you spent this night?
I was puzzled how I had misread what I had thought been a good date so wrong, that he would not even take the courtesy to reply. Wondered why, but just figured that was what his decision was.
So on July 11th, when you're not hearing back from Charles, did you know that he had been shot and killed?
No.
Did you later learn that Charles had been killed from seeing something on TV?
I was watching TV in December, I believe, and his picture came on the screen, and it said that he was dead.
When you learned that in December, that he had been killed, did you learn when that had happened? Did you try to investigate?
I did. They said the date, and I thought, oh my gosh, that's right about when I went out with him. And so I went to my phone and thought I probably had deleted our text conversations. If I'm not dating someone and I text, I usually delete the thread, but I had not, and I had the conversations, and then I realized that I was with him until 10:45 that night, and that he died at 7:30-ish the next morning.
Isn't
Did
that
you later
crazy?
then talk with the police in April of 2020 to tell them what you knew about this case?
I did.
Thank you. The state has no other questions.
Cross.
Yeah, that's true, Jessica.
Nancy Joe, right?
Correct.
And we have not met
Absolutely true.
before,
You have
correct?
not?
Okay. And you stated that your husband, or my husband, told you that he was going through a divorce. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And did you have any way to verify that?
What?
No. I
What are you
didn't
talking
try
about,
to verify
Lori?
that.
Okay. So did it surprise you later to find out that we were not in the process of a divorce?
Charles was in the process of a divorce.
Good answer. Nancy Joe wins the prize. I want to make one comment here, please. Remember that. So, Lori and Charles broke up. He took JJ and went to Houston. Remember all that? And then Lori says that she got a calling that she needed to try to repair her marriage. Well, now we find out actually she was just trying to get her grubby little hands on money. But she then went to Houston, got her talons back into Charles, and drug him back to Arizona. Remember all that? So, sorry, Lori, you're wrong. Charles was, in fact, apparently getting a divorce because he had run around. He had asked the church for help with your religiosity. He had gone to the police and asked for help. He even asked the police to make sure that you got a psychological evaluation. So I think Charles said, oh my goodness, I don't know what this is. I don't know what's happened to Lori, but it is like a freight train and I don't have the ability to stop this. Not at all. And he actually had gotten with Lori's brother Adam to try to talk to her and say that something's wrong. This is not healthy. Like, let's get it together. So I do happen to believe Nancy Joe. And I also do believe that Charles loved Lori and was terrified at the changes that he was seeing from her. But I do think that he had decided that he and JJ just couldn't continue being with her.
He was not in the process of a divorce. Did it surprise you to find that out? You've seen it all on TV where we're not getting divorced.
Okay.
So on the website that you met him, did he say he was divorced?
I'm not certain.
Would you have gone on a date with him if he would have said he was married?
If I would have realized how married he still was, maybe not.
This woman.
But I just met for dinner. I wasn't sleeping with him or anything.
Do you go on dates with married men?
Oh, shut up, Lori.
Naturally?
Argumentative. I'm going to also
Idiot.
object under 611 for harassment.
All right,
Oh, come on, Judge.
I'll sustain the objection.
Good.
Your Honor, do I not have a right to cross-examine this witness for what she has already testified to?
Lori, you're a jealous harlot. Okay? Stop. Yo, Jezebel.
So you did go on a date with married men,
I went on a date with Charles.
but you did not know he was married.
I knew his divorce was not final.
His divorce was not started.
Okay.
Oh, excuse me, Lori. You were screwing Chad Daybell
So
while
in your
Chad
text
was alive and
messages,
well with his wife.
You asked Charles if he was a good kisser. Is that correct?
Maybe, sure.
Did he answer that text message?
I'm
gonna
sure.
object to
I'm sure he did.
relevance. Again, 611 harassment.
I'll sustain the objection for relevance and hearsay.
So are you trying to tell me and this jury that you went on one date with my husband and he told you all the details of our lives?
Yep. Every
I'm
sort
telling
of
you the truth, and
detail,
that's what
you
I know.
heifer.
So you spent your whole date getting to know each other, talking about me.
Don't flatter yourself. No, we did not spend the whole time talking about you.
You knew a lot about me, right?
I knew what I've testified to.
What else
Good
did you talk
answer,
about on your
Nancy
date?
Joe.
Lots of things.
Like what, for
Exactly,
instance?
Tracy.
Life, kids, the church, lots of things.
You're
Okay.
crazy ass.
Did
I
he tell
wish
you
he'd
about
said that.
anything about our other 4 children?
Yes,
So you knew that we did have 5 children as well?
I did.
Okay. Did he talk to you about my daughter Tylee?
He did.
Did he talk about his relationship with her?
Well, I don't recall that.
Did he talk about the contention in his relationship with my daughter Tylee?
I don't recall that.
I'm sure you don't.
Oh, Lord.
I'm going to object to
You
comments
cunt.
the defendant made after questions, testifying.
I'll sustain the objection.
On your date, you talked about my husband was a life insurance salesman, is that correct?
I knew he did something with money and insurance, but I really didn't know the details of what he did for work. Like I said, I don't ask the details about what someone does for work when I'm trying to get to know someone.
But you knew that he sold life insurance. You stated that.
I believe that I had a vague understanding that he did something with insurance.
And then he brought that up again at dinner.
No, we didn't talk about his work at dinner.
I thought you said you did talk about, and correct me if I'm wrong, you said you did talk about that he changed the life insurance policy at dinner.
Well, you were asking me if we talked about that he sold insurance, which that didn't happen. But yes, he did tell me that he changed the beneficiary of his life insurance policy at dinner.
Did he tell you how much his life insurance policy was for?
Yes, he did.
What did he say?
$1 million.
Did he tell you how much my life insurance policy was for?
Get,
I do not
Lori.
recall.
You don't recall?
$1 million.
We didn't
that
talk about you very much
Kay
in
has.
that vein.
Ladies, put
When
your lip
did you
gloss
talk
on,
to him
please.
about me very much then? If it wasn't at dinner, was it in your text messages?
We were talking about what he was going through in the process of separating from you, not about what your life insurance policy was worth. And we talked about you on the phone, and when I say you, meaning what he was doing as he was going through this separation.
Good for you, Nancy. Jab
So
it
let
to
me
her.
understand.
Give it to her.
You were dating some different men on this website, right? From the websites.
Sure.
But Charles was
Would
the
you
best.
say it was common for men to be talking so much about their supposed ex-wives during their
Yes.
conversations with a potential,
It's
Of
actually
course
very
it's
common.
really?
Really?
Okay, I need to
And again, Your
interject a
Honor, I'm
little
going to
something
object to
here.
the defendant making
Lori is not worrying about her defense right now. Lori is confronting what she believes is her competitor. Okay? Number one. Number two, this idea, do men or women talk a lot about their husbands or wives as they're going through a divorce when they go on a date? Yes, yes, and yes. And I spend so much of my time telling people, okay, you're getting a divorce. You want a new life. Why do you want to drag the baggage from your old life into your new life? Don't do that. When you pack to go on a trip, let's say you're going to take a lifelong dream trip to Italy. Are you going to pack the clothes that no longer fit? Or are you only going to take the things that make you feel good and make you feel confident? You're only going to pack the clothes that make you feel confident, make you feel good about yourself, correct? Okay, ladies, can we do that with our marriages and our ex-husbands? Don't take the clothes that don't fit into your new future. Leave them where they need to be. Let sleeping dogs lie, okay? When you go through a divorce or a breakup, take the things that build you up and make you strong and leave the rest of the stuff where it belongs, in the past.
comments after her questions. and
I'm
move
sorry, Your
straight.
Honor, I won't do that again.
All right, please stop.
I'll just ask the questions.
Thank you.
Good for you, Lori. Let's try again. This woman. Oh, man, this woman.
So there were some text messages between you and my husband
Oh,
after
God.
the dinner on July 10th. Is that correct?
Correct.
What time would those text messages have occurred?
After dinner,
What time?
You idiot.
10:45-ish.
10:45 to what?
I'm not certain,
Lord.
ma'am.
Lori,
After dinner.
stop.
10:45 to midnight, maybe?
I just told you I don't know. Maybe.
What
know
did you
I
discuss
wish?
in those text messages?
And I'm going to
I mean, it wouldn't serve the defense or the prosecution well, but I wish that just so we would get the satisfaction, I wish that Nancy Joe would say, "Oh, you know what? You're right, Lori. We didn't text after we finished eating. We went to the Holiday Inn and had a night of wild, crazy monkey sex. Me and your husband."
Object to relevance again, if there's a specific area.
Sustained.
You need another cup of hot chocolate, seclusion. It's
You
going to get
testified a
worse.
minute ago that Charles told you a lot of things about his wife. You didn't say ex-wife, but you said wife. Is that correct?
Okay, sure.
What were a lot of things?
The things that
Lori,
I
she's not
testified
your
to.
competition. You
Can you
killed
be
him.
more specific?
Am I allowed to do a narrative then?
Do it, girl. Let it spill.
Let's go on sidebar.
Damn it. Damn it. You're doing great, Nancy Joe. Keep it up. That old heifer. Lori, you heifer. You are the kind of female, Lori, that gives women a bad name. Wow. Is that it? Did they go to lunch after? Oh, right there.
Are you sure you wanted to answer that question? Because you're opening up a really big door.
And now the jury's going, what? What?
If you want her to answer the question, I'll have her answer the question.
Lori, let her answer the question, you big coward.
How am I supposed to know what a lot of things are?
Oh, you fool. How am I supposed to know?
All right, if you want her to answer the question and there's no objection from the state, we'll bring the jury back in and have her answer the question. All right, let's bring the jury in.
Ooh, what a mess, folks. Nancy Joe Hancock, you are awesome. She's doing better than me. If I was up on stand, I'd been snarky as hell. It'd have been a train wreck. Ooh, that was a long time getting the jury in that time. Still going forward. Come on. What are they doing? Now it just went to short break. Why? What happened? Maybe they cut out some testimony. And then it immediately rolled from short break to lunch break. Weird. Weird. I wonder what happened. Something must have been said. There must have been a big argument. Big fight happened. We are not privy to such, which may be why Colby is going to the court today, because he wants to see every salacious detail. It looks like they're cutting out the arguments, because the next thing we see is this.
Other phone call,
They cut out a bunch.
and
There
then
must
just
have been a
text
big fight.
messages about the logistics of being here today.
Okay. How many text messages would you say?
I have no idea.
More than 10?
I know court was running behind, so she had to text me to come at a different time. Probably counting yesterday and today to redo the time, more than 10, yes. Prior than that, probably no.
Okay. Did you have a meeting with her to prepare for this testimony?
I met with her once,
How long was that meeting?
an hour, maybe an hour and a half.
Okay. Was anyone else there?
No,
Lori, your
Have
curls
you
look
ever
terrible,
spoken to my
honey.
brother Adam?
yes,
Yeah.
but only because I ran into him at my grandson's pickleball tournament the other day.
Okay, listen to this, y'all. This is crazy.
And how did you know that was him?
Because I've seen him on media via the situation surrounding you.
So you initiated a conversation with him?
I just said hi, and he asked me who my grandson was, and I pointed it out, and that was the end of it.
So you introduced yourself to him? To my brother?
I don't know that I introduced myself, but maybe.
How would he know who you were?
I don't know that he knew who I was. I knew who he was.
So you went up and talked to him?
I did talk with him, yes.
He didn't call you over, so you went up and talked to him?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
He's admitted it, Lori.
And-
Move on.
When you were talking to him, you told him you were who?
I told him that my name was Nancy Jo Hancock.
And did he recognize that name from something?
Can I go back and change how I met your brother? I forgot this until right now. So,
Lori is an evil bitch. Now, I don't use that word, okay? Because I do think women should stand with women. And even though I think Lori is a horrible person, a murderous psychopath, in fact, I cringe at that word. However, this move right here, she was a bitch in every definition of the term, right? Here's what I mean. She has the discovery. She knows the truth. So she knows how Nancy Jo Hancock came to recognize and know who her brother was. She did this intentionally, in my opinion, just to hurt Adam and his wife. That's the only reason she elicited this from Nancy Jo. And I do think, to Nancy Jo's credit, she was trying not to say this. See what I mean? So listen the way Lori asks these questions again. Lori knows exactly where Nancy Jo initially met Adam Cox, her brother. And she intentionally pushed to get Nancy Jo to say this out loud, just as a petty little way to hurt her brother Adam, because Adam was trying to help Charles, right? That is who Lori Vallow is. This woman has been found guilty of killing her little boy, her young daughter, and her affair partner's wife. Her brother is likely dead because of she and Chad. And now all she cares about is jabbing at her brother Adam? This is a shallow woman with zero identity. She has no idea who she is. None. She lives a life of fantasy. Her role, the belief in who she is, changes from one minute to the next. Oh, 1 minute I'm a harlot to a prophet. The next minute I'm a celebrated defense attorney. Now, Lori, you know who you are? You are a criminally insane Jezebel. That's all. You're no more, no less. That's exactly who you are, Lori, and always have been.
Did you turn over any other communications that you had with anyone else regarding this case to the state?
Listen to this.
I don't believe I've had any other regarding this case to turn over to anybody, so.
The way
no.
she words
Okay.
this.
How many times have you spoken to this prosecutor?
To Ms.
I
Kay?
went too far.
Yes, to Miss Kay.
Just text messages about the
Sorry.
time, so she had to text me yesterday and today.
Did you have a meeting with her to prepare for this there?
ran into him at my grandson's pickleball tournament the other
Okay,
day.
now they're asking
spoken-
about Adam.
Have you ever spoken to my brother Adam?
Watch how she asks the question. She knows the answers.
Yes, but only because I ran into him at my grandson's pickleball tournament the other day.
And how did you know that was him?
Because I've seen him on media via the situation surrounding you.
So you initiated a conversation with him?
I just said hi, and he asked me who my grandson was, and I pointed it out, and that was the end of it.
So you introduced yourself to him?
She knows. You
To my
evil
brother?
bitch.
I don't know that I introduced myself, but maybe.
How would he know who you were?
I don't know that he knew who I was. I knew who he was.
So you went up and talked to him?
I did talk with him, yes.
This is incredible to
He
me.
didn't call you over, so you went up and talked to him?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Evil
and-
lady.
When you were talking to him, you told him you were who?
I told him that my name was Nancy Jo Hancock.
And did he recognize that name from something?
Can I go back and change how I met your brother? I forgot this until right now.
You
So,
can't, Nancy.
on a dating app,
Bitch, Lori.
your brother's picture came up on my dating app. And I sent him a message and said, but he had a different name that he used, not Adam. And so I just sent him a message and said if he was going to use someone else's pictures, he should probably pick someone different than Adam Cox. That's how I met him.
That's how you met my brother Adam?
Correct.
Do you know what perjury is?
You evil, manipulative, no empathy, empathetic bitch. She knew the story. She was push to try to get Nancy Jo to say it with only one outcome, you guys. One. To hurt Adam Cox's family. There's no other outcome. What in the world does Adam Cox have a dating website? What does that have to do with Lori defending herself against conspiracy to commit murder? What does it have to do with the price of eggs in China? Nothing. This evil, conniving heifer who has wiped out nearly her entire family, now she's gunning for Adam and his wife? And they have a child, don't forget, Zach. Zach, you are an amazing young man. I felt so Jason Lum interviewed Zach. You've got to understand, Zach, Adam's son, lived with Aunt Lori and Uncle Charles. He was like super good friends with Tylee and Colby. Like they were very, very close. I have a brother, his girls, same thing. They have keys to my house. They have a clicker for my gate. Even if I'm not home, they're welcome to just come in my house and stay there till I get home. I don't care. They're my children. My brother is always welcome there. We're just super close. And that is how Lori and Adam and Zach were, right? And Jason Lum did an interview of Zach, who was saying, that when he was in Arizona and Lori had made friends with Melanie Gibb, and that she was cleaning the house and she was feeding the kids, and so Lori was just doing a lot better. And I thought to myself when I heard that, they're trying. The picture of Lori that was presented to us is that she's just like this normal, regular gal. And then one day she just goes crazy and thinks that she's queen of the 144,000. According to Zach's interview, that may not be true. Because Lori was telling Zach that when she was doing better, quote unquote, Zach said, Lori was doing better. Uncle Charles said, leave her alone. She's reading her books. She's doing better. She's taking care of the kids. She's doing better. Does that sound normal to you? Anyway, so Zach's telling this story. And Lori says to Zach, during the period of time where Uncle Charles says Lori's doing better, Lori says, I don't have to eat and I'm not ever going to poop because I'm an elevated person. But that was a period of time where she's doing better. Now, I believe, it's my contention, she has been under the care of the state now for years and years and years, and that means Miss Lori is medicated, right? I would make a guess that she's probably on antipsychotics. So, this is probably the best Lori can do right here. So after, let's say, after murdering her children, her husband, Chad's wife, I think it's possible she murdered Joe Ryan. I also believe that they set up Alex Cox, that he probably died because of them, would be my guess. They probably had him eating some kind of herbal supplements or something and calling it a religious observance, that caused blood clots, right? After all that, she gets up here to pretend to be an attorney, and she takes this opportunity to throw a zinger into the life of her brother, her sister-in-law, and Zach. A kid that was like her child. This woman right here, this is Jezebel. Or, if you're from the country like me, that right there, that's a bitch.
Picture came up on my dating app, and I sent him a message and said, but he had a different name that he used, not Adam. And so I just sent him a message and said if he was going to use someone else's pictures, he should probably pick someone different than Adam Cox. That's how I met him.
That's how you met my brother, Adam?
Correct.
Do you know what perjury is?
Absolutely.
Can I object, Your Honor, to
Question.
argumentative harassment?
Argumentative.
How long was this conversation that you had with my brother at the pickleball tournament?
A couple of minutes, maybe.
Just one more interjection straight to Lori. You know what, Lori? At the end of the day, after you're finished pretending to play attorney, Nancy Joe, she gets to go home to her pretty house and to all the people in her life that love her. She gets to go to temple. She gets to wear beautiful clothes and put on nice makeup. And you, Lori, you get to go back to the damn jail with the other gutter rats.
Less.
Oh, yeah. And that stun belt you wear, Lori, makes you look fat.
And how many times had you communicated with him before that?
Only that message on that dating app besides that.
One message, one time?
I don't remember. I think he messaged me back and it didn't continue.
So just the one day then? Maybe several messages in one day?
I might have sent him one other message, but it was just one interaction and there was nothing further.
And you did not schedule a date with him?
I did not.
Okay. Have you ever spoken to Brandon Boudreau?
Yes.
3 hogs and a
when?
cot.
He attends the same church that my daughter does, and he happened to be at their house briefly, and I didn't really speak to him. I just knew that that's who he was
And how did you know who he was?
because my daughter told me.
And who did she say he was
Brandon Boudreau.
in relation to me?
She knows the story, and I know the story, so she just
About how
had to
you
tell me
killed
that his
your
name was
kids.
Brandon Boudreau.
That he was married to my niece? Is that the information that you had?
I know that he was married to your niece, yes.
Okay. Just the association is all I was asking. And you did speak to him that time?
Well, I don't believe I spoke with him.
Okay. But you met him? Or
I don't know that I even met him. I was there, he was there with some other people, and I knew that that's who that was.
So you didn't introduce yourself to him?
I did not.
Okay. Did you speak to any other law enforcement besides Miss Kay? Not that she's law enforcement, but did you speak to any other law enforcement about this case or be interviewed?
Yes.
Who? Who did you speak with?
Probably an attorney.
Detective Moffat is who interviewed me. I believe
Yeah, Belinda.
that's-
There's a question.
I might have left a message for him. I couldn't tell you who with, but the only one that I spoke to was Detective Moffat, Nathan Moffat.
And when was that interview?
In 2020, I believe in April. A long time ago.
Okay. How long was that interview? About?
It was a telephone interview and it lasted 45 minutes, I'd say.
Is that the only law enforcement that you spoke to besides the prosecutor?
Yes.
She may not have a choice. Okay, so the question I'm responding to is Tracy French. Is there a chance Lori will see she's out of her league, or will she carry on till the end? I don't think she has a choice. Now, maybe I'm wrong, and this is where law enforcement, a legal professional would come into play here. Can Lori just sit back and ask her support counsel to take over? I mean, maybe. I just do not have that information. I don't know. I can ask. So with Scott Reich, I'm a member of Scott Reich's channel, and on Tuesdays he does a Patreon, and on Tuesdays there's not very many people in there, so you can talk to him. He'll answer your questions and stuff. So I think Tuesday I'll ask him that question, okay? Hey, if Lori decides she's in over her head, can she sit back and allow her support counsel? I don't know if her support counsel is considered co-counsel. You see my point? I don't know if that counselor is simply an advisor and is not able to address the court. Oh, look, Leah is saying yes. Thank you, Leah. Thank you so much. Okay, so Leah says that she can. Will she? It's the question. I don't think she'll do it. Let me answer this way, okay? I don't think she'll do it willingly. I don't think she'll have a come to Jesus moment and say, wow, what was I thinking? I'm such a foolish person. No, Lori does not have the thing in her brain that would allow her to have that level of personal insight. she can't see that about herself, right? So no, she's not going to throw her hands up and say, I'm in over my head. I don't know what I was thinking. I need a real attorney to take over. I don't believe she'll do that, not by a long shot. But I don't believe that Lori can hold it together. I don't. I think we are going to end up seeing true narcissistic rage. Especially if Jessica is correct that Lori is not medicated. I think she is. But Jessica may be right about this. If she is not medicated, this level of narcissism, you can't contain this. It's coming. It's coming. And maybe there was already an episode, and that's why they cut out such a big part of the testimony. She's not going to be able to hold it together. Let me ask you guys. I'm just going by my own opinion on this, okay? Your opinion. If you think she can hold it together and get through to the end of this trial, put a 1. If you think that she is going to end up in narcissistic rage, meaning out of control emotionally, put a 2. Let's see what you guys think. I'm interested. It's odd that Judge Boyce either released a witness or didn't. I guess it's different in Arizona, wondering if these witnesses can be called back in. I think they've been released. Eileen Warnos. No, I don't think you're far. I don't think you're far from the mark invoking the name of Eileen Warnos. The difference between Eileen and Lori is that Eileen grew up homeless on the street and Lori grew up in a wealthy home, right? With the very intense gaze of her father, who seemed to have worshipped her and told her that she was some kind of magnificent religious goddess. But other than that, they're pretty close. You think about it. What is the one thing that you would die for? Your children. You would fight to the death to protect your children. Am I right or wrong? Not this lady. This lady looked at her kids as obstacles. Most of us are in love with our children. Our kids bring us what? There is that deep connection and meaning. They give our lives meaning, right? But if you're having a bad day and your little kid crawls up into your lap and gives you a hug, or your teenager says, "Hey mom, would you play a video game with me? That'll be fun. Let me teach you my favorite game." Or your daughter comes in and says, "Hey mom, can we go to Sephora?" Your heart soars, right? Like our children, those are the people that we're most in love with. And if anyone ever tried to hurt your child, there would be no limits what you would do to protect your kid from being hurt. And look at what Lori did. I mean, what happened to Tylee is mind-numbing. If there's no reality, no context in reality that can make me and you even remotely understand that. It's just insanity, like religion-fueled insanity, power insanity. So don't think that this woman is any better than Eileen Warnos, not by a long shot. At least Eileen Warnos imagined that she was in protection of other women, right? The people she was killing were people that she said were hurting others. Lori was just hungry to take her narcissistic throne. Yeah, don't underestimate Lori Vallow and the level of evil that she can perpetrate on others for the right reasons. I'm talking about Lori's right reasons. She's a monster. Okay, did I answer y'all's questions? I feel like I kind of went off on a tangent there. So I don't think that she'll say, I can't do it, I'm in over my head. No, I don't believe she has it in her to do that at all. In fact, if you were to be, let's say you were one of the jailers, at the end of the day, she comes back to the jail, and you say, well, Lori, how did today go? She was like, it was amazing. Now I'm thinking back. I don't know what I was thinking. I was going to be queen of the 144,000. I should have gone to law school. I have a natural knack for this. That's what she's saying to people in the jail. It's what she believes is true. When she says, objection, judge, she thinks that she's been brilliant in that moment. She really thinks that. So she doesn't have it within her to see herself in the reality of the context that she's in. That level of self-awareness and insight doesn't work for her. It's not there. So she won't ask for her co-counsel to take over, but co-counsel may need to take over. Lori may absolutely become emotionally overwrought with narcissistic rage. And I don't know, there's not a lot of people that have actually experienced narcissistic rage. That I don't mean that you have it, but that you observed it in another person. That is the scariest thing that you'll ever see. Narcissistic rage is terrifying to watch. And the reason I think, in my opinion, the reason that it feels so terrifying to me, because I'm in the room with them, that's so scary, but because it's like one of the few times I think that you actually see a person in their most animalistic form. You know, some people will say, no, we're at our most animalistic form when we're in pain. Look, I've seen some kids in real pain. I'm talking about like burns, right? Serious burns, and having to go through cleaning it. And that's kind of pain that morphine doesn't touch. And those kids can hold it together like troopers. Like, you wouldn't believe how strong kids are. No, this is something else. Narcissistic rage, something else altogether. It's like a rabid wolf. It's like the destruction. Their eyes, you can look at their eyes and they're not seeing anything. They're just anything within arm's reach, they're breaking. They're with the most primal kind of scream. Like, you just can't imagine. It's pretty horrifying. So, will she ask for help? I don't think so, but they may need to do it if she gets into that possessed state, right? Okay. There you go, Belinda. So, Belinda, before I even said the possessed state, Belinda says it. Ex-husband, thank God I escaped. They are possessed. Belinda, thank God you escaped, and thank God you're safe. because these people, when they believe that they have been discarded, when they believe that they will, I saw a guy wait 12 years. He was in prison 12 years only to get out, and what's the first thing he did? Track down his ex-wife to kill her. Now, thankfully, he didn't accomplish it. Thankfully, he was caught. But 12 years, I want you to think about how much rage that is. 12 years sitting there, plotting and planning for the day you get out, that you just want to kill someone and get put back in for life. That's all that mattered to him. He perceived that she caused him to go to prison for 12 years. She didn't. The reason he was in prison had nothing to do with domestic violence. But in his mind, if she had not divorced him, he would not have been in the state that he was in and did what he did. So she got blamed for everything. Even once she got out of his life, he was still blaming her. Yeah, these people are scary. True blue narcissist, terrifying people. Hey, just another human. So great to see you. Good morning.
And how long between that interview with Detective Moffat and your first communications with Miss K, how much time passed in between there?
With Trina K,
Correct.
I met with her just a month ago, 5 weeks ago, and I gave an interview in 2020, so
Is that the first communication you had with Miss K was 5 weeks ago?
yes.
Okay.
Miss K, you idiot. I really dislike Lori, if you can't
Ms.
tell.
Hancock, were you aware at the time of your date that I did not know that my husband was on dating websites and dating women?
Objection, speculation.
Sustained.
Lori, I hate to say this again, okay? You were having sex with the prophet, Tammy's husband. Why are you acting so holy? My husband? How dare you have sex with my husband? Shut up. Be quiet, lady.
Were you informed by him that I knew of the situation of us being separated?
He was under the impression you were having an affair, so him moving on was a natural effect from that.
He told you
Booyah!
that?
Yes, he did.
Boom! Lori.
Just to recap, you said that you met my husband Charles, on July 3rd. Is that correct?
Approximately.
Yes.
Give or take a day.
Porky pig.
And you went on a date with him on July 10th.
Correct?
So that was what, 7 days later?
Approximately.
So would it be fair to say that you knew my husband for a week?
Approximately.
Okay.
She lacks insight. She doesn't know who she is.
And then you had no contact with Charles after that, correct?
Well, he was dead, so
Oh, yes.
clearly I didn't have contact with him.
That was a good one.
Okay.
Own her, Nancy Joe.
And it wasn't until you saw that he had passed away on the news that you reached out to anyone, is that correct?
Correct? I didn't know he was dead.
And that was about 6 months later? Is that correct?
I believe it was December, so July to December is 5 months, I believe.
Okay. And then you found Charles' sister, Kay Woodcock, my sister-in-law, yes?
Objection, asked and answered.
Thank you, Trina.
I'm just going over the timeline, Your Honor.
I'll allow it. Go ahead.
Oh, man, Trina, I
So
thought it
when
was
is the
great.
then you're referring to?
So at the 5 months later that you said in December, after that is when you contacted Kay Woodcock?
To express my condolences for her brother passing away and wanted to let her know that I had had dinner with him that last night and how much he loved JJ and how excited he was to see him the next morning.
She was offering
And just-
comfort,
Thank you.
Lori.
That's enough.
Something you don't know anything about, Heifer.
I'm just recapping here, and you contacted her through Facebook, is that correct?
And again, asked and answered.
Thank you, Trina.
I don't think that was actually asked yet. I'll overruled. Go ahead.
Judge Joe.
Yes, as I said before, I contacted her
Wake
through
up,
Facebook.
buddy.
Okay. And then sent a few text messages, is that correct?
That is
Yeah.
correct.
This is recap of everything we've already gone through.
That's right. These are not closing arguments, Judge.
And then you said you met with police on April 22nd, 2020, is that correct?
I didn't say April 22nd. I said I believed it was sometime in April.
Okay,
And I didn't meet with them. It was a telephone interview.
okay.
Come on, Judge. These
And
are
that
not
was
opening-
around 1 year after my husband passed away, is that correct?
He's not your husband, Heifer.
Well, July to April would be 10 months, so.
And your hair
No more
looks like
questions,
crap,
Your Honor?
Lori. You look like
All right,
a
redirect.
Pekingese dog.
Thank you.
A fat Pekingese dog.
You, did you reach out to the police, or did the police reach out to you after you learned Charles was?
I reached out to the police. I was surprised, given that if they'd seen his phone, they would see the text communication that we had had, and that we had been at dinner that night before he died.
You know, I want to take a minute and say this too. I was surprised. I want to be careful how I say this too. I was surprised by a number of things. I was surprised that Alex Cox walked away from the shooting with nothing. No repercussions. None. That was weird as hell. Like, he wasn't even taken into custody for 24 hours while they were doing an investigation. That was kind of crazy, right? So I was very surprised by that. I was very, 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 very surprised that Charles Vallow was running all over Mesa begging law enforcement to help him. His wife was not okay, and that he wanted her to go into a hospital to undergo a true psychological evaluation. He went to the church and asked for help. So he's begging the cops for help. Nothing. Law enforcement refuses all. I don't understand this man, where there were so many like police occurrences, contacts, when he ends up dead. Why didn't a single one of those cops say, hey, this is the same dude who said his wife thought that she was this being, and that they were going to kill him because his name was Ned, and now he's dead. What happened? Where was law enforcement? I just want to know. I'm not saying they're bad cops. I want to understand how you have all of these contacts with law enforcement. Lori had contact with law enforcement. Charles had multiple contacts. She's gonna kill me. She says that I'm some dude named Ned. And he dies at the hand of Lori's brother. Not a single cop stopped to say, hey, maybe there's more here than meets the eye. Maybe we need to do a real investigation and reach out to Nancy Joe and others that he was in contact with. What happened with law enforcement in this case? Really strange.
In terms of speaking with Charles's family, Kay Woodcock, did you know her before this?
No.
Had you heard her name through speaking with Charles?
Yes, from Charles. I knew that he had changed his life insurance to his sister Kay, and he talked quite a bit about Kay and his love for her and the relationship with JJ and how that they had adopted JJ.
So you understood the closeness he had with his sister,
Absolutely.
and you said you reached out to pay your condolences.
I did.
When you learned that Charles was dead, were you shocked?
I was watching the TV and it was talking about a case and his picture came on the screen and shocked is an understatement, yes.
In terms of talking with Kay, have you ever tried to talk to other people to learn about or verify if the stuff that Charles told you is accurate?
No.
Good morning, AP.
Is what you are telling us just what he told you?
What I'm telling you is part of what he told me. There's a lot more.
And did you tell the police all of what he told you? That you could remember at that time, I should say.
I believe, no, I thought I would probably be interviewed again, and it was more an ask-answer format. There was, I believe, I remember being surprised that I wasn't interviewed again.
Because Charles had shared so much with you.
Correct.
Do you think that there were cops that were involved in this whole preparing of people, and so they knew who Chad Daybell and Lori were? Do you think that is what stopped them from being suspicious? I mean, it's really... It is amazing they didn't call this woman. It's amazing.
In terms of the defendant's brother, Adam, did you ever talk with him about the case?
No.
Through media, did you recognize him?
I recognized him because I'd seen him on reports. And I knew that he was going to be testifying in this hearing.
When did you see him? When was this interaction
Like
at this pickleball?
a week and a half ago.
So a week and a half ago, when you see him at a pickleball tournament with your grandkid, you say hi to him?
Basically.
You don't talk at all about the case?
We might have talked about that we were testifying. I don't know. No details for sure.
Okay.
Just a general, and then he saw who my grandson was, and the end.
So nothing about, hey, I'm going to say this, or Charles told me this?
Absolutely not.
When you and I met, did we go through your testimony? Or let me get this straight. Did we go through what you told the police?
Yeah.
Did I indicate to you to just tell the truth,
You told me to tell the truth,
whatever that was?
whatever that was.
You were asked about the fact that you knew Charles for basically a week, right?
Correct.
Did he make an impression on you?
Charles was a large personality. It would be hard not to be impressed by his wit and just gregarious, big personality with his southern accent.
You were asked a lot on Cross about you dating a married man.
Correct.
By a
What was
harlot.
your impression of where this relationship was between Charles and Lori Vallow when you and Charles started talking?
Well, I knew that they had separated and that they had reconciled, and I knew he had filed, and then he had recanted that. But he also had met with an attorney to begin the process again, and was very emphatic that he was done with all the craziness.
There you go, Lori.
And was that
Choke on it,
last
girl.
time something that you understood to be very recent?
Prior test meeting?
Yeah.
Yes.
when he's talking to you, he's telling you about, you said sort of the whole year of 2019, correct? But this last understanding that you had of him now going back to a divorce lawyer, was that something you understood to be very recent in time to that July 10th when you're meeting?
Correct.
Okay. And did you understand him to have even met with an attorney?
I believe he told me that, yes.
So that was where you were at,
Yes.
and that's what you understood Charles to be at.
Yes, and I will say, after having dinner with him, I did tell him that no one would want to be serious with him until he was further along in accomplishing that divorce that he was in the process of, including myself.
So even though you knew he was just barely starting now, did you still want to meet with him again?
Yeah, I wouldn't have entertained a serious relationship, but he was fun, and yeah, I would have met with him again.
All right. I have no other questions, Your Honor.
Tracy, thank you so much for your 10-pound donation. Thank you. I really appreciate your support. Thank you so much. All right. Here we go.
Are there any questions for this witness from the jury? I see at least one question coming down. I think we have our white, our
Jury asked questions?
Yep.
I know, Nancy Joe, it's crazy, but I kind of like it. Not sure. I wish we could see. I wish though that they would just read them out loud like they did in the Jodi Arias case. Because I like that you could get some insight from the jury by the types of questions they ask. But so far, I've only heard them read one question. Have I missed any? Let's see if I can get to the question. Or they may decide not to read it.
This
There we go.
question. Does the defense have follow-up based on that juror question?
Did they read it?
With a yes, no answer.
Very worried that
Press. Verbally,
Here we go.
ever expressed to you verbally any indications of stress?
definitely he was very worried that
That, I think we'll just keep it with a yes, no answer for this question. Does the defense
Tracy,
have
you're
follow-up based on
wonderful.
that
Thank
juror
you so
question?
much. So the question was Charles under a lot of stress? And the judge wanted her to answer just yes or no, and she said yes. So sad. It's so sad what happened to Charles. to all of them, but Charles was trying so hard to get some help. Really, really terrible.
Does the defendant have follow-up based on that juror question?
No, Your Honor.
All right, state.
Oh my God.
All
She
right,
had the
you
whole
can step down,
courtroom
thank you.
waiting. Unbelievable.
State can call its next
Nancy
witness.
Joe, you win the day. Congratulations, Ms. Harding. You are amazing. We love Nancy Joe, don't we? So great that she got to juke Lori a little bit. That was a little bit of that sadistic delight. I mean, yeah, you're probably right. We would hope, right? Yeah, so terrible. I mean, it was horrible no matter how it played out, right? But I think one of the things that makes it so poignant is that we can see him begging for help. And law enforcement didn't help. Yes, that was so now we've heard two questions. Yes. First question was about the epinephrine, pushing the epinephrine in trauma. And then this one was Charles under visible stress. And here's the truth. If they had listened to Charles, and someone with authority would have had the courage to do the right thing and have her hospitalized, have her undergo a real psychiatric evaluation, then it is entirely possible that they would all be alive. That's the nightmare of it. All right, so now we're back at another short break. Lori moved on because she thought she got away with it. Yeah, but she's paying for it now. And you can see in that Keith Morrison interview, you could see she's suffering, which is a good thing.
All right, members of the jury, we're
in
going to take a little bit of an earlier recess than our normal afternoon recess at this time. Please remember your definition.
And there goes Judge Job. Poor guy. He's like, can I retire? Would it be okay if I retired right now in the middle of the trial? This is Christine. Okay, so this is Christina Atwood. This is one of the ladies that was getting together for prayer circle with Melanie Gibb and Lori. Do we want to watch this or are we done? This is 2 hours we're at. You work in the field of psychology. How many men come forward and express fear and tell of abuse from the woman in their life? I think people don't believe men. You would not believe how brutal women can be. Absolutely. Men are being targeted as the victims of domestic violence. Yes, Rosebud. And it doesn't matter how big and muscular they are. Women understand that if they're married or if they're dating a man who just simply refuses domestic violence against a woman, correct? I mean, a lot of us teach our sons that you don't hit a woman under any circumstances because you could end up going to jail for murder just by one hit. So keep your hands to yourself. Don't stay in a relationship if you are pushed to a point of physical violence. If you are that frustrated and angry, you need to move on. That is not worth it. So making choices not to stay in a relationship where you are reaching that level of frustration that you will lose control of yourself and you strike out at someone, right? Physically. But there are women, many women, who know that about their spouse or boyfriend, and they will beat on them. I'm talking about, I have heard some horror stories this was horrible. The man was trying to walk up the stairs to go to the bedroom, right? And the wife was incensed. She was filled with rage. And as he turned to go up the stairs, she reached out she was basically on his back. So she reached out, grabbed at him with both arms, but that meant like her arms were around his neck, choking him, and he had already gone up the steps. And so he said, I'm there and I'm getting choked. I can't breathe. But if I push her off, she's going to tumble backwards down the steps and that could kill her. And so he just laid down on the stairs to keep her from getting hurt. But so he could breathe, right? And he just laid down and she was on top of him. And I mean, the bruises on this guy, the scratches on him, it was unbelievable. It was like a wild animal had gotten after him. So yeah, it absolutely happens, and men don't really have a lot of recourse. If they go and they try to say, I'm being abused, most people diminish that and they won't listen to it. And, my skin is the same as a man's skin. If you hit me, it gets bruised. If you cut me, I bleed. And so do men. So, no physical violence under any circumstances. And if the conversation is escalating to that point of frustration, you guys need a time out. Even if that time out lasts a year, get away from each other just as an act of self-preservation. Please. Most of the cases that I've been a part of where there has been a death, it is absolutely clear to see that the death was the result of staying too long. You don't stay in a marriage at all cost. You just don't do it. If there's an affair happening, let me say this too. If there's an affair happening, you've got to leave. If there's an affair, you need to separate, because alliances change when people are having sex with others. And you don't know if you're in a dangerous situation or not. So affairs, you need to be away from each other until you work it out and decide to get back together. Or if frustration has built to the point that you're throwing things, you probably need to get out. All right. That is not medical advice. That is just one girl to another.
Would you please introduce yourself to the jury?
Christina Atwood.
I'm
How
so
old are you,
sorry,
Christina?
Belinda.
I'm 52.
And if you can get just a little closer, you're very soft to the,
52.
thank you. I know nobody wants to say that loud. Do you live here in Arizona?
Yes.
Did you live here in Arizona in 2019?
Oh, so sorry,
I did.
Belinda. Yeah.
Are you from here?
Believe him,
Not originally.
Belinda.
How long have you been in Arizona?
Believe him.
2009.
And I'm glad he's got you to talk to.
I want to start by asking you a little bit about some personal part of your life. Are you a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints?
Yes.
I saw somebody leave a comment that this witness seems a little off in a weird way, but you're not really able to put your finger on it. I wonder if it has to do with like our own perspective, that maybe we're reading something into it that shouldn't be there. We do know that Lori got together with Melanie Gibb and the gals, and that they did really bizarre, crazy, insane things, like move across the country to Rexburg so that you can be part of the 144,000 with the Chadster. The woman that did that, I would consider bringing her in on charges. So, yes, there was a group that prayed for the death of people. I don't think this was one of them. She was invited to the prayer group Lori liked her. Lori saw potential. So I would say it looks to me as like the group that Lori was putting together, they all look like they were alpha female, and they would break up the marriage and pair them up with a beta male. So it was like Lori and Chad were putting together, or maybe just Lori, putting together a group of leadership that would be matriarchal in nature rather than the patriarchal type setup that you definitely see in a lot of religion. But this woman went to one of the meetings and she felt very uncomfortable with Lori. Lori was expressing a lot of negative about Charles. Was this one where they prayed for the death of Ned? I don't know. But it seems like this woman was not feeling very good about the things that Lori was saying at the meeting. And then there was a luncheon, I think, that she was invited to. So she said she wasn't in the group. Now, is it self-preservation? I don't know. But they found the other women, so why wouldn't we believe her? So, yeah, I admit I watched her a little too close. But remember, confirmation bias. Generally, whatever it is you're looking for, you will find. It's a neurological thing. So as you watch her, you're looking for a crack, right? You're looking for some indication this is another Melanie Gibb or this is another Jason Mao. So we got to be careful that we're not letting our own issues color what we're seeing. She only went to 2 meetings. Either they didn't like her or she didn't like them, which is good enough for me that she wasn't a part of them.
Were you raised in that religion?
I was.
As a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, did you ever meet Lori Vallow?
I did.
Do you recall?
Travis Alexander was badly abused. He was being emotionally abused, accusations of, well, I don't want to get into all that, but yeah, Travis Alexander, another one, Jodi Arias. This looks like the exact same courtroom where Jodi Arias stood her trial with Juan Martinez as the prosecutor. And interestingly enough, Trina Kay is Juan Martinez's fiance. How cool is that? So we got a tale of Lori and Jodi. Lorijodi. Weird, right? Jodi and Lori, 2 peas in a pod, seemingly built from a cookie cutter of narcissistic women, in this courtroom with another brilliant prosecutor equal to Juan Martinez, and both situations where the women were the abusers and the men were the targeted victims of their abusers. It's really shocking.
Sort of where you first met her. Start with that.
At church.
And do you recall approximately when you first met her?
We moved into that area in 2010, and I'm not sure if their family was there at that time or not, but
Sometime after that?
yes.
And did you know her husband, Charles Vallow?
Yes.
Was that also through church?
Yes.
Did you initially, well, let me start. Did you know they were married?
Yes.
Did you have more contact with one over the other?
More with Lori than with Charles.
And why was that?
My sons and husband had interaction with Lori through the primary program, and I didn't have much interaction with her before they moved to Hawaii. But when her and Charles had moved to Hawaii, we went on a trip and we stopped to visit, and Charles was not at home, and so we interacted with Lori on that trip.
Okay. Do you see Lori Vallow at that time in the courtroom today?
I'm sorry, what was that?
See Lori Vallow in the courtroom today.
Yes.
And can you point her out and identify what she's wearing?
Purple top and suit coat, dark suit coat.
Your Honor, may the record reflect the witnesses identified the defendant.
It shall.
Okay, so you told us that you met Lori and Charles through the church. Do you know how long you went to church with them before they moved to Hawaii?
I don't recall what year they moved, but I know that we moved to the area in 2010 and we went and visited in 2015.
Okay. And that's, you visited them in
Hawaii. Yes.
Other than that, well, let me ask you, when you visited Lori in Hawaii, were her kids there with her? But you said they lived there, right?
Yes.
Okay, so did you know at that time how many children were living with Lori and Charles?
2,
Who were they?
JJ and Tylee. I don't know if Tylee was there that weekend. She may have been gone. It might have just been JJ.
But you were familiar with them having those 2 children?
Yes.
Residing with them? Is
Oh,
that-
and I also had known her son before they moved to Hawaii, was in our ward as well. But he wasn't living in Hawaii, I don't believe.
That was, do you know if that was Colby?
Yes,
Was he a son from a prior marriage?
yes.
Did you know any of Charles's children from a prior marriage?
No.
When you went to Hawaii and saw Lori and JJ, how long did you spend a day or weeks? How long were you visiting them?
We visited on a Sunday afternoon for an hour or 2, and then sometime in that week, we got together for a couple of hours on the ocean, just paddleboarding, and that was it.
Had you had social interactions with Lori and Charles prior to going to Hawaii?
Not anything of other than waving or saying hello or something, no.
So mostly it would have been prior to that tied to any church activities or
Right.
things like that?
Correct.
Did you at some point learn that Lori and Charles had moved back to Arizona?
Yes.
How did you learn that?
I'm not positive if it was that I ran into them in the temple, because I recall one time seeing them both at the temple.
And do you recall if that was around 2018?
Like, yes.
When you said you ran into them, you're saying both Charles and Lori you saw at the temple.
Yes.
So you learned they're back in Arizona at this point. Is that correct?
Yes.
Did you ever have Lori ask you to go with her to Hawaii?
Yes, she did invite me.
Do you recall when that was?
I believe it was the fall or late summer of 2018, but I'm not positive.
Do you recall ever do you remember being interviewed by the police?
Yes.
And were you interviewed by a couple different detectives?
Yes.
In April of 2021, do you remember speaking with a detective, Ron Ball?
Yes.
And do you remember telling him that sort of the beginning of the year of 2019 is when Lori asked you if you wanted to go to Hawaii?
Could have been, yep.
Does that sound familiar to you?
Exactly, just another human.
Did she tell you why she wanted to go to Hawaii?
No, I don't recall.
Let me ask you this. When you spoke with the police back in 2020, was your memory better at that point about all of what
For
was going
sure.
on? Now that it's 2025, has your memory faded as to some of the details?
Yes.
Would listening to a portion of your interview about that help potentially refresh your recollection?
Yes.
And Your Honor, if I can have my paralegal go up with Exhibit 282.
Go ahead.
Are they gonna play it? Or are we gonna get shut out? Exactly, seclusion, yeah. Oh, yeah,
If you can just
Rosebud, for
listen to
sure.
this portion and see if that refreshes your recollection as to why Laurie was asking you to go to Hawaii and when.
Oh, they're not gonna let us listen to it, are they? Shoot. Shoot. Sex, power, money. Long one, huh?
Was that you talking to the detective about this sort of time period in January where Laurie's asking you to go to Hawaii and there's a lot of things going on there?
Yes, I recall that. I actually remembered the invitation being prior to that, and what I was referring to there was something else.
Okay. So there was a prior time you had gone to Hawaii to see Laurie and a prior invite, correct?
No, I'd just gone in 2015 with my family.
Okay.
That's the only time
That you went there with?
that I went there, yes.
Okay. So having listened to that recording, did it refresh your recollection about Laurie inviting you to Hawaii in sort of the January of 2019 period?
Yes, but I didn't say there that I was invited to go, and I thought that that was previous to that time, but at some point in either the fall or the spring there, I thought it was the fall, winter, she invited me to go to Hawaii,
Okay.
and I wasn't able to go.
When, well, let me ask you, so in January of 2019, did Laurie reach out to you about some things that were going on in her life?
Yes,
Did she talk to you about her marriage?
she shared that she was upset with Charles.
And did she indicate whether or not she was still living with him?
She had indicated that she was not with him at the time.
Did she indicate that she had gone to Hawaii?
Yes.
And did she indicate that she was not telling anyone that she was there?
She indicated that she was keeping it, that there wasn't very many people she was sharing it with, yes.
Okay. Did she indicate that Charles was back in Texas?
Yes.
Did she indicate that Charles had JJ with him in Texas?
Yes.
Did she indicate that her daughter Tylee was staying with her brother Alex?
Yes.
Did she indicate that Charles had tried to take her temple recommend away, and this was one of the reasons she left?
Yes.
And was it her, did she tell you that she didn't want Charles to know where she was?
I don't recall.
So if you had said that to the police back in April of 2021, would your memory have been better?
For
back then?
sure.
Do you contest that you told the police back then that she was trying to make sure that Charles didn't know where she was?
I'm sorry, could you say that again?
Would you, if you had told the police back in April of 2021 that Lori told you she didn't want Charles to know where she was,
Zeke
would
is being a
you have
bad
been
dog.
truthful back then?
For
telling
sure,
them that?
yes.
Okay. Do you know how long she stayed in Hawaii?
I don't.
Did you ever become aware of her going to Idaho as well?
No. Not until December of 2019.
Do you know how long she stayed, how long she didn't let Charles know where she was?
I don't recall.
At some point, did you learn she was back in Arizona?
Yes.
And did she reach out to you to invite you to any groups?
Yes.
Do you recall approximately when the first time it was that you met with her in some group format in 2019?
I believe it was spring 2019, maybe February.
And do you recall, were there other people at that meeting?
Yes.
Do you recall who was there?
Yes.
Who was it?
Zulema, Melanie Gibb, Nicole Earl, and Serena Sharp.
Who organized that? Or who invited you? Let me ask that. Did Lori invite you, or did one of these other women invite you?
I don't recall.
Okay, now that made me nervous.
Do you recall whose house it was?
Okay, so I'm on guard for confirmation bias. Okay, I recognize that I have a very, very negative appraisal of Lori Vallow and others like Zulema, Melanie Gibb, Jason Mao, and even Serena to some extent. Okay, so I know that I have these preconceived ideas, so I try to be very careful. However, I was unhappy that she did not answer this question because it gave me the sensation that she's protecting other people. You know what I'm talking about? So why are we, if you're truly innocent of this group of women and the horrible things that they did together, praying for the death of people, then why would you be trying to protect any of them at all? She is. And that bothered me.
Was that?
It was at Zulema's.
Okay.
So why don't we say this? Why don't we say this, Christina? When asked, who organized this or who invited you, don't you think it's realistic, Christina? Because I do think she knows who invited her. I don't think she's low IQ or brain damaged or anything like that. She knows exactly who invited her. And if it's all happening at Zulema's house, let's take a little guess. Why don't you put in the side chat who you think invited her? If the get together was at Zulema's house, it's not a baby shower or a wedding shower. Who do you think invited her if it's at Zulema's house? Yes, just another human. She knows. Uh, yes, exactly, Glory Dancer. Who do you think invited her? It's Zulema's house. She's already said she confronted Lori. She didn't like what Lori and Alex were doing. She did not like it, and she spoke up. So we know she's not trying to protect Lori. So who invited her? Yeah, most likely Zulema invited her. Most likely. Right? If you agree, put a 1. If you disagree, put a 2. If you agree with probably Zulema, since it was at Zulema's house, put a 1. If you think you have no idea it could be anyone, put a 2. Zulema under the direction of Lori. Exactly, Patricia. Exactly. It is true that when there are like wedding showers or something like that, you may very well have a shower being planned by 1 or 2 people, and it's decided that the location is going to be at someone else's house. Maybe someone's got a bigger house or a prettier house or a more convenient home. So that's a little different. But this was just a small group of church ladies. And Zulema, can I remind everybody here, let's take a moment here to walk down memory lane, ladies. Zulema is the one who's praying and praying to summon earthquakes. They wanted the big giant earthquake that would signal the end of mankind. Remember that? Zulema literally believes that she can summon up earthquakes. Does that sound like the little church ladies that you go to church with? Because that doesn't sound like my Sunday school people. They literally, that's exactly right, Sammy Sparrow. They literally are praying for people to die. Literally. So let's just be honest and call truth some truth. Zulema's house, small group, this inner circle that were responsible for praying for the death of Ned and Brandon Boudreaux and others, Tammy Daybell. These people traveled to other states together to pray people dead. Yeah, it was probably Zulema. So, that's another thing. Why the hell haven't we gone after the people that empowered Chad Daybell and Lori Vallow? Why hasn't Jason Mao been arrested? Explain that to me. Too much protecting, in my opinion, in this area. Is way too much protecting.
And did you know at that time if Lori and Charles were still separated?
Could you say that again?
Did you know at this meeting if Lori and Charles were still separated, living in different homes?
Yes, I believe so.
Did you know who was caring for JJ at that time?
Yes, I believe she was at Alex's.
JJ?
Oh, sorry, JJ. I believe JJ was in Texas.
Still with Charles? Mm-hmm. And that's a yes?
Yes,
And then you said Tylee was still staying with her uncle Alex?
yes.
Did you know where Lori was living at that time?
With Alex.
Had you met these other women prior to this meeting in February-ish of 2019?
The only other person that I knew was Nicole Earl.
Okay. So this was the first time you were meeting the person whose house it was at, Zulema?
Correct,
The first time that you were meeting Melanie Gibb?
correct,
And the first time, you said Serena, is that Serena Sharp?
correct.
Was there anything that Lori said at this meeting in February-ish of 2019 that she said about Charles that stood out to you?
Thank you, girl.
She was,
What in the right? It is mindless to me that this law enforcement just have overlooked this entire thing. This was not okay. So this difficult research, that is Crescia, that is Kay Woodcock's daughter. Okay, Charles's niece. Yeah, so if you guys have not been to her channel, Difficult Research, and you're interested in this case, you should go listen to it. She has done so much research on this group of people, the books they were reading, the influences that they had on them, and it absolutely does seem like there was this precursor. There was a group of people that empowered Chad Daybell. Make no mistake about it. And Jason Mao admitted on tape, on recording, that he handpicked Lori Vallow. He handpicked her for this mess. They didn't do this on their own, y'all. They were given authority to do what they did. And that tells me there are other people in danger. So, Crescia, you're amazing. I support a RICO filing on this group of yo-yos. Yes. Julie Rowe is one of the pack, right? Yeah, it's terrible. Thank you. Yeah, Crescia, absolutely. And Crescia, I want you to know that I went to Sephora and I bought, just for this case, I bought Too Faced Extreme Plumping Lip Gloss. And I'm slathering it on every day before court and at lunchtime. In your honor, Lori, who will never again be able to put anything on her lips again except for vegetable oil. All right. Anyway, it's great to see you this morning, Crescia. I hope you're holding up okay. This has been unbelievable, hasn't it? It's just been unbelievable. Thank you, Sketty Nona. And I do hope Colby's okay. He's going to be in court today. I hope he is. Hope he's going to use his breathing and stay calm, right? All right. 2,000, wasn't it 2,000 showed up to that conference for Chad at their church? I don't know, Vicky. I don't know. Yeah. Extreme. The marketing on it, Belinda, it says it's extreme plumping lip gloss, not for the faint of heart. All right, you guys are awesome. But thank you so much for being here, Crescia, and I support you. Do it. We'll talk about it. It'd be great.
concerned about.
Well, and let me ask a quick question of Crescia while she's here. So this lady, we haven't gotten a lot of information about her from the other cases. What do you think of Christina, Crescia? Do you get the feeling she's still protecting, or do you think she was open and free with her information? Thank you, Cinnamon, for sharing Precious link. Appreciate that. Okay, Julie Rowe. Oh, that woman is insane. Julie Rowe, Tom Harrison, Chad Daybell, Lori Hoare. I forgot you called her that. Lori Hoare, Alex Cox, Jason Mao, Gibb, Boudreaux Pulowski, Pastenis, Atwood, Sharp, Earl, Audrey B, Tim Ballard. The Apostle died. Too many to list. Oh my God. Yeah. Okay. So you're not all together. You're not all in on this lady, Christina Atwood. She has an agenda. Even if it's just self-preservation, she's got a reason to be careful about what she's saying. All right, that's what I wanted to know. And listen, you guys, if anyone knows, Crescia knows. She's done the research. I see a snake sitting up there wanting to protect her circle. I mean, she definitely... Don't tell me she doesn't know who invited her. She knows damn well who invited... It was Zulema. Right? Lori Hoare. It's great. All right, let's get back to this chick and see what else she has to say. I was pretty disturbed about her not naming Zulema. I was pretty disturbed by that.
Dark spirits plaguing him.
Did she in fact tell you that he was possessed by dark spirits?
I don't recall.
No, Crescia.
Did you recall?
No. Christina Atwood, the lady that's on the stand, and Nicole Earl, both the seven gatherers of Jason Mao fame, both the seven gatherers started their own NPO called Gathering Humanity. It's the same old shit, isn't it? It's the same exact thing. I literally found their business card in Charles's paperwork. Follow the money. Yes, Patricia, give us the Chadster limerick. That'd be great. We need a little something to laugh at before court. Wow, I can't believe that. Oh my God, that is sickening. Says, Gathering Humanity is a grassroots, not-for-profit organization that provides essential goods to those experiencing resettlement and other vulnerable populations since 2016. We have been organizing. It's the same group. It's exactly the same thing as Preparing a People, the Seven Gatherers. It's the same thing. They hadn't learned a damn thing. Community donations and volunteer power to furnish apartments for refugees. Offers a significant financial benefit, but a warm welcome to our new neighbors. Who are these neighbors, Crescia? Other LDS moving across the country to be with the Chadster? Who's their new prophet? Who's the new Chad? Oh my God, that's terrifying. That's terrifying. Okay, here is Patricia's limerick. Get ready for anything. There once was a fat man named Chad, whose view of himself was quite mad. He thought himself God, an exalted fat bod, but he was clearly just evil and bad. Yay Patricia. We should put that on a coffee cup. There's one woman who's part of law enforcement. Okay, so that was the question. Does law enforcement have any connections to Lori Vallow or the Seven Gatherers? There's one woman who is part of law enforcement on this board with Christina and Nicole Earl. Can I post links here? You most definitely can. Let me go to, I've got to go to YouTube. Hang on just a minute. I'm going to mod you. Hold on. I thought you were already a mod. Hang on just a second. I'll do that. And then you can post whatever you want to. Okay, 1 second, folks. Just almost there. All right. Now let me find Kresha. And add as a moderator. Save. Okay, Kresha, you'll be able to do links now. So go right ahead. All right. Thank you, Kresha, for being here. I no longer feel down. Women like you are truth and strength. Thank you, Just Another Human. Thank you so much. That was a kind statement. Honey K, this case proves that no matter as Christian you claim to be or how close to God you are, sex is still the foundation of influencing others. Well, Honey K, in general, with cults, they use mind-altering, consciousness-altering substances to influence people to do things they normally wouldn't do. That includes drugs and alcohol, but sex is actually a very powerful motivator, and it does alter your level of consciousness. So, yeah, you're 100% right, Honey K. I followed the money all the way up to Carlos Slim. Wow. Can't go any higher than that. That is the proverbial ceiling. That's terrifying. That is terrifying. Thank you, Cinnamon Hot Hot, for putting up Crush's link. Good. Absolutely. You're more than welcome to post links. We would all love to see what you've got. Okay, so there's the link for Gathering Humanity. Sammy Sparrow. I hope the family is holding up strong, Crusha. It's not that many degrees of separation, if you know what I mean. No, it's not. And that's what makes it so frightening, right? They didn't learn anything with Chad and Lori and what they did. They didn't learn anything from it. You know what that tells me, Crusha? Tells me they might have known something. They might have known what was happening. Are we talking about sacrifice? We talking about ritualistic sacrifice? I don't know. But if you had a group of friends, let's put it this way. If you guys were a part of a group of friends and the things that you were talking about and teaching suddenly became justification for ending the lives of 5, 6, 7 people, would you just change the name of your group and keep on going? Or would you take a step back and go, wait a minute, we're off base here, something bad happening? All they've done is just change the title, but it's the same book. It's terrifying. Yeah. I have a mental image of the Chadster and Lori doing the wild thing. Brain stops there. Oh, yeah, it's too gross. It's an abomination. You can't think of it. there was that husband and wife that interviewed Chad. At the end of the interview, the husband said they moved there to be with Chad. Right? Why are people moving across the damn country to be with a pud knocker like Chad Daybell? It's very frightening. In order to join the inner ranks, you got to sacrifice. It's no different than what Diddy did. And notice too, Kresha, the weirdness of pairing up these very powerful female personalities. I don't mean healthy, but definitely extroverted people. Powerful female personalities paired with these beta male types. It's all, you know what I'll tell you what that tells me. That tells me that there's a strong man at the top who doesn't want to be challenged by another man. That's what that tells me. Who's the strong man at the top? It's an interesting question. Avaricious megalomaniacs are a growing problem in society. Is Kay on the stand today, Kresha? I think Adam is on the stand. And will Kay be there? Is she testifying today, or is that probably next week would be my guess? She's looking for links. All right, so I'm going to, because I've got to start getting ready for work. Let me find the 7 gatherers. I can't believe this gathering humanity. They're just audacious, aren't they? They're just in your face with it. All right, I got the link saved for gatheringhumanity.org, not .com. That's so weird. Just a bunch of Ruby Franks. Gilbert Serving Center. It's an incestuous bunch. All right. I have to get ready for a stream, a new morning show I'm going to do in order to carve out my own lane away from the traffic. There you go, Christian. Stake your place. All right. It's a cult. It of course it's a cult. Yeah. I mean, everything that they're doing, and I'm horrified to see that it's still going. You have all these dead people, dead children, Lori and Chad in jail forever, and they just change the title and keep doing it. It's terrifying. I'll put a document together with all the links and add it onto it. It'll help me in the long run as well. I'm always like a chicken with my head cut off. Well, you're forgiven for that because you guys have been through it. Yeah, make the link. I'll post it on my discussion on my community tab and just try to get people to start focusing in on it's not just Lori and Chad. That's not the end of the rainbow. There's something more. And I'm telling you, Jason Mao, I'm going to hold my tongue, but you know. All right. Well, listen, Crusher, you have a wonderful day. And I know, things are going to be weird for the next couple of weeks with this crazy woman. Their nonprofit had like over 650,000 in donations in a recent filing. My God. Ugh. It's just nauseating. Terrible. Terrible, terrible. All right. Well, have a wonderful day if you can with the insanity of the trial. And we can talk. Ever heard of Midnight Productions in Phoenix area? Nope. Midnight Productions. There's one in audiobooks by Midnight Productions. That one's in California. They're all over the place, aren't they? Is that the one where the husband was killed? Oh my God. This is horrible, Krasha. Undercover operation targeting the demand for child sex crimes and human trafficking netted 29 male arrests. January 24, 2025. That's from the Immigration and Customs Enforcement website. Oh gosh. Okay, well this is crazy. Wow, this is crazy. Okay, I'm gonna have to do a video on this one. Midnight Productions is basically homeless drug addicts who are taken advantage of and sacrificed. Huge underground ring. Watch the conspiracy files for his video on Midnight Productions. Yeah, just Googling Midnight Productions Phoenix. You just get all this crazy stuff, and then I got down to the U.S. immigration website, and they're talking about all 29 people arrested in relation to snuff films. But don't it make sense with Atwood and Earls gathering humanity? Look at their website. Oh my gosh. That is amazing. Or are we going to get got, Kresha? I don't want to get got. We have to stay in hiding. Wow, it's crazy, Cinnamon Hot Hot. Look it up. Yikes. Okay. Well, thank you for the info. I'm definitely going to go over and watch the video on it. This is unbelievable. Like, this is... And it's all coming out of Phoenix, Arizona. And we're sitting around going, okay, well, why did Alex Cox walk away from shooting a man? Why is Lori home free as she's joking with the cops that they didn't get their invitation to go to the pool party that A. Charles is killed? Like, maybe there's a reason nobody would stop Lori. We've definitely got to, Kresha. This is just incredible. I don't know, Sketty Nona. It's terrifying. But 650, when's the last time you guys heard of two people starting a little nonprofit and ending up with $650,000 on their books? What? From where? To help immigrants come into the country? What? Wow. Yeah, definitely have to, Crusha. This is bad. Wow. Yeah, I'm gonna go watch the video. But I have to get ready for work. The channel that did the video on Midnight Productions is called The Conspiracy Files. It's on YouTube. All right, The Conspiracy Files, and you're looking for the information on Midnight Productions. All right. Well, Kresha, all the Mormons are connected. That's who start the NPOs and bankroll. It's called laundering. They definitely have a way with money. Colin Browan's work. Yeah, everybody be sick. Yeah, absolutely, Sammy Sparrow. Okay, you guys. So sorry to end this here. I had originally just planned on doing just Nancy Joe's testimony, but I enjoyed spending time with you guys, and we kind of got into the whole Outwood thing. So just remember, we got today with the trial, and Colby Ryan is supposed to be there, which will be interesting to see if it has an effect on Lori. And I'll stand by what I've said previously. I don't see Lori holding it together. My original prediction was she falls apart next week. Her head is going to pop off her shoulders. We probably won't get to see it when it happens because they've got a 30-minute delay on the broadcast. But you can go over to Difficult Research. She'll definitely cover it if something like that happens. I think Hidden True Crime, Lauren Matthias is in the courtroom every day, so she would cover it as well. So we just have to see what we can do. But I think next week she loses it. I do. All right. I got to get ready for work, you guys. Thank y'all for being here. Crush is wonderful, wonderful to see you. And I hope that today is as good as it can possibly be. I know this is not fun going through this whole trial thing, and we definitely got to keep this conversation going about this group, especially the gathering. I mean, why is that so ominous, right? Why are they choosing gathering? Horror movies made about such thing, right? All right, everybody. As bad as I hate it, I wish I could stay here all day long. And just, for a little bit of reminding why we're here, there she is in all her glory. The craziest heifer on the planet. You too. Thank you so much, Crusha. You have a great day as well. All right, there she is in all her glory, pretending to be an attorney, but most definitely a narcissist. And with that, I can't wait to talk with you guys later on tonight about what goes on today in court, even though I'm going to be working all day. It's going to be a bad day or a great day, depending on how you look at it, right? Y'all, take care.
I'm sitting in my chair late at night, watching crime unfold under the pale moonlight. From the darkest corner, stories unfold. True crime jewels, she's brash and she is bold. On the YouTube screen, we're digging deep into the mysteries that never sleep. From missing kids in Tennessee to angry husbands named buried. True crime's calling, and we're taking the time. So grab a seat, don't miss a beat. This True Crime Jewels got what you need. From missing people to twisted minds, we're unraveling secrets old Barry tried to hide. Every clue, every twist and turn. In the world of crime, there's always more to learn. On the YouTube screen, we're digging deep into the mysteries that never sleep. From Christopher's anger to Stephen Fisher's lies. The truth is calling, and justice won't be denied. So grab a seat, don't miss a beat. True Crime Jewels on the YouTube streets. Lights are low, suspense is high. We're chasing truth, we spot every lie. Step into the darkness, hold on tight. Two flashlights out there in the dead of night. On the YouTube screen, we're digging deep. Barry Morphew's case is hot. A boy in Tennessee won't be left behind. From the coldest cases to the ones that shine, true crime's calling, and we're taking the time. So grab a seat, don't miss a beat. This True Crime Jewels got what you need. We're always watching Barry and waiting for the truth. In the world of crime, we discuss the proof. So hit that play and join the True Crime journey with Jewels of Thought and her gemstone family.